Killer Cross, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. And hopefully we're going to have some mud pie and perhaps an arugula salad. New York Matinee actually said it was a playful but mysterious little dish.
I think you're going to love it.
I think so too.
So I've got to ask you this, Killer Cross. At the minute, your career's never been better. You've never been more popular. I'm sure, like financially, and you're doing great. You've never been more over. You were just recently on a beach with Scarlett Bordeaux. So the question I've got to ask you is, where did it all go wrong?
Well, you see, I have to return some videotapes at this present time. I'll be right back. I think, I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. It's her and I became best friends very quickly and fell in love at the speed of light. And her and I don't know, not to sound, overly romanticized, but I don't know. I found my twin flame. What can I say?
She's no Evelyn Walker, though. Am I right?
Oh, I mean, mistletoe alert.
Evelyn Walker, great ass. But I gotta ask you this: of course, you're in the shape of your life right now. That you're so jacked and ripped. But do you ever get jealous of people like me? Because I'm so grossly out of shape that no one ever notices me losing muscle. But if you were to have a weekend off the gym or to go out in a drinking binge, it's going to show. So do you ever get jealous of the fat?
I can't listen. This is how I fantasize the tail end of my life. I want to be like old man Logan, where I'm walking by the gym, not going in, just walking by, perhaps on my way to like a gelato or something. And I look at all of these people killing themselves under the squat rack or deadlifting. And I'm like, ha, I remember those days, suckers. I just said, you look like me one day. Eating fucking like mango and rice or something, or, some cappuccino gelato or something. I mean, I can't wait until I have legitimate excuses not to be on a carnivore diet and not doing Olympic lifting or judo or catch or Muay Thai. So not jealous, but more kind of living vicariously through people who are really thoroughly enjoying themselves with no diet parameters.
But that's the thing that drives me nuts, is because, of course, with Patrick Bateman, I used to be in that sort of physical condition where I had the 6-pack and the guns and the chest, and I didn't have big fat arse. And then I just kept up with the eating and cut back on the exercise.
Yeah, I mean, you could always look thinner, look better.
I meant to offer you a sorbet, Killer Cross.
Absolutely.
Thank you. But I got to ask you this wrestling questions. That obviously with Impact, it's had a lot of ups and downs over its run as a company. But these days, it's generally considered, and I'm not just saying this because I'm afraid of you beating the living shit out of me, but it's generally considered today to be the best it's ever been. So I got to ask you, because of people like you, Brian Cage, Tyra Valkyrie, LAX, etc., what do you think about being considered responsible for the rise of Impact Wrestling?
It's a great honor, and I'm not just saying that because I think I'm supposed to say that. When I got involved with the company, to be totally frank with you, I wasn't sure what I was getting involved with because I'm not going to be one of these people who's full of shit. Like, I'm very well aware of the idea of what people had of Impact Wrestling has been over the last, I don't know, to be fair, let's say 12 years. There's been sort of a dark cloud hovering over Impact for an extended period of time for a variety of different reasons. A lot of it, I think, has been propaganda through pro wrestling media and just the inflated opinions of people on, what comes in versus what goes out monetarily. So when I got called by Sanjay and Don Callis, I was just like, well, I'm just going to trust my gut on this. And my gut was telling me to say yes and to move forward with this because all of my friends were already there. I knew 3/4 of the roster personally from working elsewhere, whether it was Lucha Underground or the Independents or working in Mexico. You know, there was a huge influx of Lucha Underground and AAA there at the time. And I had been hearing nothing but good things internally from the roster. They were saying that it was a really open environment for expressing their creative arts, and we really thrive on that. Like if there's an ability for us to have as much involvement in our work and our presentation, then like that's really the place we're going to want to be. And so I just kind of went with that, and my intention was to contribute as much as I possibly could. Like my intention is, and every single time people are going to see Killer Cross out there. So to be involved in what people are believing to be sort of a rebirth, I'm very, very happy with it. And, you know, anytime my name is next to names who are, you know, of weight and importance, this means that my work is being acknowledged and I'm obviously on the right path. So it's all good.
Yeah, for me, when they were TNA, the early days, the early work was a little too new wave for my taste. But when they became Impact, I think they really came into their own commercially and artistically.
Oh, I would definitely say so. You seem like you strike me as a Phil Collins guy, sort of a Huey Lewis in the News type, and that's right up my alley.
But oh God. But I gotta ask you this: is how is it as a wrestler, business wise? Do you think this is considered to be the greatest time ever to be a wrestler? And the reason why I say is, like, I don't know what your deal is with Impact or whatever, but I'm sure when it's time to renegotiate, I hope that you got a wallet at Christmas, because when it comes to WWE and AEW, unless they are dickheads, they're going to be literally fighting to get you on the roster.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Things are good. Things are looking very good across the boards. And yes, I would definitely say right now, and I mean, you only know what you know. But from what I've known and what I've experienced in my pro wrestling career, I've loved every single second of this, even the bad times. I'm not really a pessimist. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm an unrealistic optimist, but I am generally able to find gratitude in all sense of things because I've been a worldly person. I haven't been privileged in any sense, which has been an excellent thing for me. I've had to work fairly hard to obtain all the things and opportunities that I've been given. Not even just pro wrestling, just with life in general. I came from a blue collar family. Two of my grandfathers were armed service, and I came from a working class background, and that's just the way I was raised. And yeah, man, this is an exciting time. It's a very exciting time. I've always been jealous of guys like Kurt Angle or Gary Albright or Steve Williams being able to come up through those experiences, but because those times, they don't exist anymore. But I'll tell you, the time I'm in right now, I'm very happy with it, and I'm loving every second of it.
So basically, I could just go with the quote that Killer Cross is a happy camper, just rocking and a rolling.
I'm just a happy camper, rocking and a rolling. Exactly. Listen, but just say no. Just say no.
But it's got to be a great time for you, not just like business wise, but not to be a mark, but wrestling wise, because there's so many guys out there that you could have genuinely brilliant matches with. Like now that he's back healthy from his cancer treatment, I honestly think that you versus Roman Reigns would be absolutely brilliant.
I want that match really, really bad. And you're one of the first people to actually bring this up publicly. But I don't subscribe to that whole obnoxious philosophy or ideology, if you will, of, I understand fans, they want a certain thing in their pro wrestling, but pro wrestling is subjective, or sports entertainment, however you want to refer to it. And Roman Reigns is a guy that can carry a company on his back. He has, and he is, in my opinion, right now, even in the state that he's in, and he will continue to do so. And he's a marketing machine. He's a good dude. He works his ass off. That is a person that I want to be in the ring with 100%. And I even used to say the same thing about John Cena. I understand that people, they they want to be surprised and they want to be engaged in a certain way. And, you know, all of us as pro wrestlers, we surprise and engage people in our own interpretive ways. For instance, you're not going to see Roman Reigns doing lucha libre spots. He's not just going to suddenly turn into Pentagon Jr. Does that mean that Pentagon Jr. is better than him? I don't know. Who makes more money? Maybe making more money doesn't necessarily distinguish you as the better pro wrestler. This is all left up to interpretation, and these are conversations that fans can have and should have. And if they choose not to, that's fine as well. But I'll tell you right now, I'm a Roman Reigns guy, and if the opportunity ever shows up to be in the ring with him, I would happily no-sell his Superman punch.
I would, yeah, and also like if you went to AEW, I know he's maybe not, on top form, but like you and Jericho, just promo wise, like that's going to draw.
Absolutely, I would love nothing more than to put on a ski mask and throw him off a fucking roof.
I'm not trying to stir the shit, but I interviewed Jericho lately, and he said that you couldn't get a table at Dorsey. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, absolutely. I own the place.
Speaking of Dorsey, I've got to ask you about American Psycho. What's your take on the ending? Because I actually interviewed the writer of the film, Guinevere Turner, and she told me what the ending actually means.
Well, I will tell you, before you reveal to me what the ending is, and I'm actually very excited to hear this, I have never really known. And to be honest, I read the book. I've read the book, honestly, 3 times because I'm horrible at reading books. When I pick a book up, I like to finish it in a short amount of time. So if I can't map out the time, I actually won't even read the book. Like I have a stack of books in my home that I haven't touched yet, and it's a real shame. One of them is actually Shame. I've tried to read that 3 times, and I've enjoyed it every time, but I just fall off the map trying to read it. But I'm very humble in admitting this. I have never really understood the ending. I really haven't. I wasn't sure if it was all in his head. I wasn't sure if it had something to do with the medication that he was taking, because briefly throughout the film, it shows him fooling around with the prescription bottle if he's having bouts of psychosis. We obviously can tell that he suffers from psychosis. He's not sure what's real and what's not. He's also a pathological liar. He has varying behavioral pattern symptoms of being a sociopath, a psychopath, possibly schizophrenic, multiple personality disorder. This is all stemming from him, I think, trying to find an elusive identity in a system that he actually hates. And he has moments, at least from my interpretation, where he's not sure who he is or who he wants to be, and if he even really wants to be in any of this. I think there's like a certain level of validity that he finds, or lack thereof, I should say, where he realizes how stupid all of this is. And he's trying so hard to fit into something that he actually resents, but he has nothing else to go to. He's, for a lack of better words, there's moments in time where I think he realizes he's completely fucked, but there's just nothing else for him. He's trapped in that satire of the late 80s, early 90s, fraudulent masculine projection Wall Street cesspool. So I've never known, and I can't wait to hear this. By all means, please tell me.
She said to me that what that ending of the film is that Patrick Bateman 100% did all of the murders and the crimes. And wow. His lawyer had got the phone call from the night before, sent like a cleaner team to take care of him. And apparently there'd been like watchers of Bateman and his family, because you know the way there was a spin-off in the other books.
Oh, because his father owns the company. They said that, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they basically had people who would cover up for him or clean up after him. And his lawyer was there at Harry's bar for drinks, just sort of saving face.
That's insane.
And so is Patrick Bateman.
Right? That's so awesome.
Yeah, so she and I spoke about the idea of a real sequel, because Patrick Bateman would be still alive today.
Yes.
So we were talking about the idea of just say they did one where he's gone into politics or something.
Oh, that would be so perfect. That would be so perfect.
Speaking of perfect, and I'd love the different reaction to this. there was a video of you and Scarlett Bordeaux making an entrance at a show. I think it was I don't know if it's Future Stars of Wrestling or it was AAA. I'm not too sure, but you were making an entrance, and this fucking nerd Mark leaned over the railing and like slapped you in the back of the neck or in the back. And I just thought, had you grabbed him and punched him, his fucking head would have turned into shit.
Go ahead.
So the question is, I'm gonna ask, what's it like for you to deal with marks like that who don't get, don't fucking touch me?
It's rarely happened, but I'll tell you the worst thing that probably ever happened. So when I first went to AAA, this was about 3 years ago, I was involved in an angle where Johnny Mundo won all 3 titles. Like every single title that was in AAA, he had all 3 of them. It was a Latin American title, the Mega Championship, and the Cruiserweight. And I had been the catalyst of that. It was Tejano, Phantasma, and him in a 3-way, no DQ. And I came in and glommed everybody. He won all 3 titles. So I was even more hated than John was because I kind of screwed up the entire lineage of everything. The whole country wanted to lynch me. And I went into Tijuana, where Tejano was from, and there was an angle they were doing where he was in a neck brace. Phantasma had given him a pile driver, and they were very close friends. Their fathers were friends. They're the sons of legendary wrestlers. And Tejano was on commentary with the neck brace in his hometown. And I kind of lured Phantasma to dive out of the ring in his direction, and I moved out of the way. And it hit Tejano, and the crowd went berserk. And Tejano flies over the railing, and he's on the ground with the holding the neck brace, and he's just imagine, in real life, if there's a guy in a neck brace and he just fell off a bike on the sidewalk, how he'd be reacting. He's like almost getting better and kind of re-breaks his neck. So the crowd's really fucking pissed. I mean, they're really pissed. Lucha Libre is a cultural pastime for them. It's baseball to Americans. Like, to them, they know what it is, but they don't. You know what I mean? Like, they're very emotionally engaged in this. So I grabbed Phantasma and I powerbombed him through a fucking table on the floor, and then I proceed to go into the crowd. Hold on, actually, let me freeze for a second. When I powerbombed Phantasma through the table, paramedics start going through the audience to get Tejano, and they start loading him onto a stretcher. So I tried to go through the audience to get to Tejano because there's roaming cameras that are trying to get into the crowd. The crowd's kind of like going berserk about this right now. They're surrounding him, trying to help the paramedics to get him onto the stretcher. The whole front row starts shoving me and not letting me into the crowd. They're trying to literally protect him from me. This is for real. And some of them are cursing at me in English. So I need to get to him because there's roaming cameras there. Like, there's a whole angle that has to happen. So I'm trying to get over, and they're shoving me for real. And, I'm a lot bigger than these people, and it's not that I can't roll through them, but I don't want to. Like, they're paid tickets for front row. Like, I can't just start fucking battering, assaulting, people in their 30s and their 40s. So I just try to speak a little bit of English to them because my Spanish is horrendous. And I go, listen, he's really hurt, and he's a personal friend of mine. I need to get to him. It's just a show. He's hurt for real. And they're like, oh, what? And I go, yes, he's hurt. You have to let me get to him, please. Something's wrong, and I need to speak with him. Like, oh, my God. Okay, go ahead. So I climb over the railing. They let me through. And he's laying on the stretcher with the neck brace. I walk up real slowly, like I'm protecting, like I'm trying to, see if he's okay to protect him. And I grab him by his fucking face, and I look at him, and I start violently shaking him. And, he's got the long hair at the time, so his hair's flying, and he's going, ah! Ah! All of the people in the front row were like, you motherfucker! And their friends are holding them back, and they're like looking at me like I'm shaking their child in a hospital who has a broken neck. And they're like, having to hold him back. And I flip the fucking gurney over. He lands on the floor. I grab the neck brace and I rip it off of his neck. And I choke slam him off like the first level through the concession tables. He's like covered in popcorn. He's got fucking hot dogs in his hair. And these people are screaming. So I get to the back, and one of the production people goes, did you not see the staff signaling to you? And I said, no, what are you talking about? And he goes, look at this. And he shows me this footage on one of the roaming cameras. These people were getting ready to stab me. They had something in their hand, and it was like one guy holding something and two guys around him that looked like at one moment they were encouraging him to do it, and then another moment they didn't. And when I turned in their direction, and just by fluke, I looked at them. And, you know, like, I'm in character. And people don't realize that, yeah, it's a character. But when I'm in character, I'm not the guy talking to you right now. Like, I'm completely submersed. And I know that sounds fucking crazy, but don't be shocked. Like, look at what I'm doing on television, right? So I'm in character, and I'm in the crowd. And when I turned in their direction, the guy dropped it and fucking walked away. That's how fucking scared he got. He was holding a fucking knife getting ready to stab me. They came to a Lucha Libre show knowing that it's a show. He was so upset that he was contemplating stabbing me over this. And when I turned in this direction, he dropped it and walked away. I wasn't even looking necessarily directly at him. That's how scared he got. So this whole, when you talk about fans doing crazy shit and wanting to haul off on them, that by far, I think, was one of the craziest things that's ever fucking happened. So now, from now on, when I'm wrestling in Mexico, I don't go in the crowd.
Did you know that cameras actually picked up what that fan said?
Tell me, what did he say? I need to know.
It said, "You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death and then play around in your blood."
Well, just tell him it was just cran apple and he's overreacting. Okay? You know, tell him to fucking swing by crayons or something, or fluties.
But I gotta ask, I had no idea you were this funny. I thought you were more going to scare the living shit out of me.
Well, see, but that's the whole thing in real life. Like, people think that, like, to be violent and to be aggressive and whatnot, that it's a 24/7 thing. Like, I can smile and have a laugh with you and then smash your fucking face through a car windshield. I don't need to be in a bad mood. That's the scary thing about real life people. They get violent real fast.
I'm convinced you are related to my girlfriend now.
Well, there is a whole side of my family that is Welsh, Irish, and Scottish. And then there's another side that's Scandinavian, Croatian, and then Central American and Italian and Greek. Like, I'm a big mutt. I grew up in New York, and I'm third generation American. But the rest of my family, they're all like first generation. So it's quite possible that we may suffer from the same bouts of psychosis through hereditary disposition.
You've got alcohol-induced diarrhea?
I don't know, because I don't drink that much, but the next time I have an opportunity to, I will let you know.
Well, speaking of opportunities, we're now living in an era where it's fair to say female wrestlers are really, really, well, not just so much on the rise, but they're at the top. So clearly you've been a fan of wrestling your whole life. So how do you think of the fact that, like, in Impact, you've got Tessa Blanchard, Jordan Grace's, Tyra Valkyries, etc. And then, of course, WWE, we're about to have women headline Mania for the first time. So what do you think about the rise or the change in the female side of the business?
I think it's great. And I think that people oftentimes really are overreacting and being, well, let me say it like this. Let me rephrase this whole thing. It's definitely good. I think it's great. But the common era that we're living in, and I don't know how much of this you're seeing on your side of the world, but in Western culture right now, there's this gross thing happening where people have this false sense of entitlement to over ridicule things with the purpose of trying to fraudulently project that they have some sort of intellectual presence in a conversation, and pointing out things that don't work and pointing out things that are wrong or maybe not optimized per se doesn't necessarily mean that you're an intellectual who can observe a problem. Like, anyone can observe a problem. We're not living like in an across the boards, like a solution-based society right now. And it's kind of frustrating for me dealing with individuals like that. But I kind of come from a very stoic place where I don't provide any weight or any sort of value in the opinions of people that really don't fucking matter. And I'm not speaking from an egocentric standpoint when I say that. I just mean, like, if someone's going to throw negativity to the wind, like, it just doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I have very thick skin. And even if I play with those people on social media or in public or whatever, I'm not someone who gets rattled really by anybody because I don't give a shit. So when I see people attacking women's wrestling or I see people attacking intergender stuff, I don't internalize it. Like, it has nothing to do with me at all. I see it and I'm aware of it. But me personally, I think in the year 2019, everyone knows that professional wrestling is a performance art. And I don't see any validity in trying to protect certain parameters the way fans think those parameters need to be protected. I think there's an optimized way to do things, and then there's a shit poor way to do things. That much I will agree with. You know, everyone has bad matches. Men have bad matches. There are bad intergender matches out there, and there are bad women's matches. But there are also good matches in all three of those spectrums. And I think that I'm looking forward to seeing the development, the optimization of that in the immediate future.
Yeah, because like just I was sort of arguing with a guy recently on Impact. There was Tessa Blanchard versus Jordan Grace, and they fucking tore the house down. It was brilliant. And the first thing the guy said was, he goes, "Yeah, and they both have nice arses, or asses, I should say." And it's like, but what's that got to do with it? Like, Killer Cross has got a great arse. We're not paying attention to that.
Sure. And I mean, and you know what? Like, if people are, then so be it. Like, they train really hard and they want to look attractive, and you know, they're wearing certain outfits to elicit a certain enjoyable response, I should say. I mean, I won't speak for them, but I mean, they're both in the industry, and I mean, if that's the guy's focus, then that's on him. But you know, they're not out there for that specifically. They are out there to engage you and entertain you in the performance art of pro wrestling. So I know what you're saying.
Exactly. But let me ask you, so is it fair to say you're also a fan of like combat sports like MMA, boxing, etc.?
Certainly.
Well, do you think that, because I was talking to a guy on another podcast about UFC, and it's apparently looking more likely than ever that in 2019 we're going to get Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar. So do you think that is maybe the biggest combat sports fight since Tyson versus Lewis?
Yes. Yes. Just bluntly, yes.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of a single combat sport matchup that's bigger than that. Like, they talk about Royce versus Nunez or Cyborg, but I just don't see how Jones versus Lesnar could be topped.
No way. I agree with you on this one, man. This is, because that would be a heavyweight fight. There's no way Lesnar is physically able to drop to 205. So, and it's just, this has kind of been like a world thing. Like, heavyweights draw the most money, larger than life. I mean, this just goes down to bigger's better. The biggest monsters. It's a monster fight. And Jones is a heavyweight, and just Lesnar being Lesnar, this is a multi-million-dollar drawing fight worldwide, and I would love to see that.
Who's your money on?
I mean, scientifically, I would have to say Jon Jones. I'm a fan of both of them, but everyone said that about Frank Mir in the second fight too, and Lesnar put him in a half Nelson on his stomach and almost punched his head off of his fucking body. So I think that people underestimate Brock Lesnar, which is kind of a funny statement because of what a freak he is. But I think that there are certain things that people have not seen yet that Brock Lesnar can do. And I think there are certain places and certain positions that are literally death traps that people are unaware of, where if he gets you into a certain position, and because people have only seen so much of him, but if he gets you into a certain position or a place, you're fucking dead. And it doesn't matter if you're Bruce Lee or, fucking Mayweather or Jon Jones. Like, there are certain checkmate positions that if he puts you in them, it's over. And I think that if people sleep on that or are unaware of them, and they, unintentionally find out on live pay-per-view, then there's a very good chance that Lesnar can win that fight.
And I'm going to say just that in case contracts loosen up, I'm honestly predicting WrestleMania 36, 37, Brock Lesnar versus Killer Cross.
People have been asking to see that match for the last 5 years, and I can tell you right now, we are going to get to it, and I hope it happens at a WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, it will. But we've now just come up to the final two questions, and these are the big questions, and everybody gets asked, and these can change everything for you. So here is the first question. Who is the better band, Queen or the Beatles?
Queen. I don't even think any band on the planet will ever even touch Queen or get near them. The Beatles have written classics, and John Lennon, legend, great human being, a genius, a philosopher. I would even go so far as to say a hero to some people, because he encouraged people to think in a world where, that was kind of frowned upon at that time in certain places. But Freddie Mercury touched people's souls, man. There are countries in the world that don't even speak English that I've been to that can recite entire Queen songs. Like, they'll ask me where I'm from, and if I say United States, I've had people sing Queen songs to me. I'm not kidding. I travel a lot, and they don't even know what they're saying. I guarantee it. But there was something in his voice, and there was something, I guess, just in his spirit and what he was projecting out there that resonated in people. So, my opinion, Queen.
I would agree with you. But here's the big question, and this is the question that could change it all for you, because there's actually a right answer to this. And if you get it wrong, there's no TNA, no AEW, no WWE WrestleMania main events with Lesnar. So here we go. The Spice Girls are back. Who was your favorite Spice Girl?
What the fuck? There's a right answer to this.
Absolutely.
Well, can I just say all of them?
No.
What is the right answer?
Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Fuck. I don't even know who the fuck they are. I mean, I know of them, but I don't know who they are individually. I skipped this whole musical era. I was too busy listening to Cannibal Corpse and Cryptopsy and finding myself through Behemoth and Necronomicon out of Quebec.
Well, I'll let you away with it this one because you seem like a nice guy, but the correct answer is Baby Spice. Baby Spice is the best of the Spice Girls.
Well, I'm going to call disqualification on this because I was not prepared. I was not briefed. This seems like information on a need-to-know basis. And I was not debriefed by my sergeant on this or my lieutenant commander.
And can I just ask one favor of you, by the way, before you go?
Well, if it has something to do with videotapes, I'm going to need them immediately.
One of my other jobs is I edit for the podcast Keeping It 100, the Conan and Disco Inferno one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Disco refuses to do my podcast out of spite because I've asked him for months and he just won't do it out of being a dick. So at any time I have a guest on, especially one who could rip a head off, I ask them if they could record a request for me so that I can edit it and send it to Disco. So would you mind doing that?
So what is it that you exactly want me to do? You want me to record something?
But just that if we could do it here and you say Disco Inferno, this is Killer Cross, and go on the It's Usually Hello podcast and then say something violent.
Okay, sure. Glenn, this is Kevin. We know each other very well. I need to tell you something. You need to do this gentleman's podcast. You've been very disrespectful to him. He's been nothing but a cordial gentleman. And, well, if you don't do his podcast, I'm going to crack your head wide open with a baseball bat. And just about the time that you're waking up out of your coma, guess what? I'm going to show up to the hospital. And if you haven't done his podcast from the time that you woke up to the time I get there, I'm going to crack your fucking head wide open again. Because I'm stupid. And I don't give a fuck about jail.
Oh my God, that was perfect. That was so brilliant. But listen, I just want to thank you so much for your time. We've actually gone way longer than what I said I would. But I just want to tell you, I do genuinely think you're one of the best in the world. I'm just glad I got you now because WWE don't let their talent do interviews like this. So if you end up there, just saying. But I do think you're brilliant, and I think you're going to be one of the biggest names in the business.
I appreciate it. I'm honestly gunning for that, and my secret is sincerity. I think that if you're not sincerely engaged in what you're doing, your energy introduces yourself before you ever even say a word when people see you. So I try to put that out there, and I hope that it resonates. So I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you.
And just as a final bonus to you, I made you an 830 res at Dorsia. It's got great sea urchin ceviche.
You know what? That's actually part of my diet at this present time. So I really appreciate that. What a great coincidence.
Well, just don't stare at it. Eat it.
Oh, I will. I will.